Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jorge Rojas. I am making this video presentation for one of our labs, specifically for the Biology 153 course at Cal Baptist University with Dr. Kim. We are conducting a stress response lab that we did on week 6. So it's one of those labs that was rather fun, and I just wanted to go ahead and provide a demonstration for everybody. We have a few assistants today. We have Danny behind the camera. We also have Javier. Javier, if you want to say hi, who will be our test subject for the stress response. So what are we testing? We're testing stress stimulus that are going to provide us with a modified reading, specifically on vitals. We're going to test and compare with the traditional resting vitals that we're going to document. And we're going to compare them to what happens after he undergoes stress by submerging his hand under cold water for a specific amount of time. In this case, we're going to have 2 different times that we're going to test. We're going to test for 1 minute, and then we're also going to test for 2. We're going to get those readings, and then we're going to compare and analyze at the end. So the first thing you're going to need to conduct this experiment, we're going to need our materials. What we have today for materials are our water. Our water combination is a 50-50. It's 50% water, 50% ice. Because we're going to be working with liquid, it's always very important for you to prepare ahead, and we have our towels. He is going to need some towels to also clean up in between, dry up in between, as well as today we're using a phone for a stopwatch. If you don't have a traditional stopwatch, we definitely have enough technology to make adjustments. We're using a manual sphygmomanometer, okay, and this one's going to be used to test, to read the blood pressure. And then lastly, we're using a stethoscope. This stethoscope is going to be used to check his heart rate. So we got to know what his heart rate is, after or during, these stress tests. Lastly, in our interactive lab format, we have a computer where we're going to document our information, or if you want to do it as traditionally scientists do, you can record by hand and then transfer it over. These are our handy dandy recording tables. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing you need to do, you got to ensure that your subject has been resting. Javier has been resting for approximately 5 minutes or so. We want to ensure that he's rested for at least 5 minutes so we can ensure we get accurate readings on his vitals. We're going to start off with his heart rate. His heart rate is measured in beats per minute. So the technique we're going to use today is we're going to read by his radial artery. We're going to place our stethoscope, and what we do, okay, we are going to get to our stopwatch, and we're going to time for about 20 seconds, and we're going to count his heartbeats. And I just picked it up, so I'm going to start my timer about there. (20, 21), and he's at about 21 or 22. So because we went for about 20 seconds, what we would have to do, we'd have to use a little bit of math to convert that. So we go ahead and we multiply this times 3. That gives us our readings for about a minute. 22 times 3 is approximately 66. That's the standing heart rate at the resting position. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to come to my recording table, and I'm going to go ahead and record that his normal heart rate at normal temperature was 60 beats per minute, so 60 BPM. Similarly, I'm going to go to my sphygmomanometer, and we're going to do a blood pressure reading. And there is a little bit of pre-existing knowledge that you have to have when using these. Okay, so you got to know how the readings are picked up. Traditionally, there is a number that goes at the top and a number that goes at the bottom. So it's diastolic and stolic readings for the heart rate. So what's going to happen, we got to ensure that it's not too snug. We still got to be able to throw our 2 fingers in there. And how this little meter works is we got to go clockwise to go ahead and lock the pressure mechanism, okay? And we're gonna go and we're gonna start pumping, and as you can see, the meter is gonna go up, okay? We should go at approximately 60 per reading. It's gonna stay, okay? And we're gonna grab our stethoscope. We're gonna place it back again, right at the radio artery, right about there, okay? And then how this guy works is we go counterclockwise to unlock the pressure mechanism, and we're gonna see the meter start dropping. And it's right where we get a signal of his heartbeat, which is right about there, okay? And we're gonna mark that. That's approximately 110, okay? And then we're gonna keep coming down until it no longer is present. And it's right about, it just happened at about 50. We go all the way counterclockwise so we can release the pressure. There we go, we can take this off, okay? And again, how we read this is that we had 110 over about 50, okay, on his blood pressure. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on to the following steps, which is we're gonna test how these two readings continue to change, okay, when placed under the experiment tests, which is one for a submerging of cold water or bath water, ice bath water for a minute. And then we're gonna let it rest for about 2 minutes. We're gonna repeat it for a 2-minute submersion time. So I'll go ahead and I'll demonstrate the first one with Javier. Javier is ready to get dirty, okay, and we're gonna go about it. All right, Javier. We're gonna submerge your hand, okay. At the same time, I am about to start the stopwatch. Here we go, and there it goes. I'm gonna wait for a few seconds, approximately about 30, because that's what it usually takes for me to get the other readings, get his heart rate and his blood pressure. So I'm gonna wait a few more seconds, and then I'm gonna start and get going. Again, the idea is to ensure that we get accurate readings. If it's too much for him to handle, I'll definitely have him take it out, you know, right at the minute or right before, as I continue to conclude my readings. Javier, how are you feeling? You good? Okay, I mean, it's always good to check in, you know, with your volunteer to ensure that, you know, they're also being taken care of during the experiment. So I'm about to start the reading of his heart rate. It's right there. There it is. Great. We're looking at about 75 beats per minute. And you can start taking it out a little bit, Javier. We're gonna go on to reading your heart rate. And again, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn it clockwise, make sure the locking mechanism is there for the pressure. And I'm gonna start rolling, get my stethoscope ready. There we are. Place it right about there. Here comes the pressure read. Counterclockwise to start coming down. There it is. So it did get a little bit lower. We're at 100 to about 60. We're gonna remove this. Go all the way out. Take this off. Javier, time for you to rest for about 2 minutes. And I'll come back to my recording. It's about 100, over 60. Okay, so you just got to ensure that we get those. Javier is, cleaning, drying up. But we just got to ensure that we continue to be rather consistent with these times. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and start my timer for his rest time. The next one up is the 120-second trial. We go on and we continue to record the data. At the end, we're going to analyze and we're going to make our interpretations. Other than that, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this experiment. Definitely have fun with it. Let us know what you find out. Thank you. Okay. Hey, so good evening, everybody. This is Jorge Rojas with the Biology 153 lab course. Today we're going to be performing a stress response lab experiment. It is for, again, the Kinesiology 153 Human Anatomy and Physiology lab course. We have a few assistants today. We have Danny behind the camera, and we also have Javier. Say hi, Javier. And we're going to be conducting a stress response, specifically a stress where we are having his muscles fatigue a little bit. So we're going to be doing that by putting him through a little bit of muscular stress. And we're going to record, we're going to go ahead and compare it to his baseline, his standing rest rate. When I say his standing rest rate, I'm looking at his heartbeat as well as his blood pressure readings. So in order for us to do that, first we start with our materials. This one's rather simple. For this one, we're going to need our recording table. We're going to need our stethoscope so we can read his heart rate, beats per minute. And then we're going to go with the handy dandy sphygmometer. And again, for this one, we're reading his blood pressure, systolic over diastolic numbers on this one. So we need those two. We also need a handy dandy stopwatch. Okay. For the interactive, sorry, we're using a phone for our stopwatch. But as far as recording, if you don't want to use the tables in our interactive lab, we have a machine, and that's why the computer's out. So again, a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be putting him under a little bit of stress muscularly. It's a very simple activity that we have to conduct. We're going to record him at his standing rate, so resting heart rate, and we're going to allow it to be the initial baseline that we start off with. We're going to start by getting his heart rate with a stethoscope. We're going to go ahead and, we can go with the radial artery. We can go with the heartbeat. Again, like in the past activity, we only have to time for about 20 seconds. We go ahead and we multiply that times 3. Okay, we get his reading. As an example, he's at about 22. 22 times 3 equals 66. Okay, we go ahead and we come on our recording table. So that initial heart rate was 66 beats per minute. Again, there's a little bit of pre-existing skill that you have to have with a sphygmometer, because there is a little bit of work that you need to do for reading the blood pressure rate. And again, how this is utilized, we have this handy dandy pressure gauge, okay, as well as this little mechanism, locking mechanism for the pressure. And what we do, we go clockwise for it to lock in and allow the pressure to build up. And as you can see, our meter goes up, and it's about 160 that it reaches. Once it reaches that, like we did before, with our stethoscope, we're going to use it to calculate his systolic right at the top, and it's right where we start to hear it. Nice and slowly on our way down. Right about there. It's about 103, 104. It's going to go down until we don't read it any longer. Right about there. So it was about 60, a little bit over 60, a little bit over, in between 60 and 70. Okay, that it left. We go ahead and we go all the way down. So we can take this guy off. Thank you, Javier. And now, what we're going to do we're going to go ahead and record our 110. And it was right in between 60 and 70, so I'm going to go 65 on that reading right there. And now I'm going to have him stand. I'm going to use this timer again to have him stand for 2 minutes. Okay, because we're going to have him stand for about 2 minutes, and I'm going to check for his readings again, for his blood pressure and for his heart rate. Okay, and then soon after, I'm going to have him wall sit for about 30 seconds. Okay, during the wall sit, I'm going to check his readings again. Okay, so Javier, do you want to demonstrate going to a wall sit? There you go. Okay, and make sure that it is about, your knees are flexing at about, there you go, 90 degrees. You can hold your hands out for balance if you wish. Okay, a lot of people like to grab their knees a little for balance. And he's going to go for about 30 seconds. By then I would have my stopwatch going. I go ahead and I grab my handy dandy tools. Okay, I make sure that they're not all jacked up. After those 30 seconds, I go ahead and I put the sleeve back on. Boom. Get my stethoscope. Okay. Get his reading again. Awesome. It's been about 30 seconds. I got his readings. They come off. He stands back up. You can stand back up, Javier. That was a little bit over 30 seconds. And I want you to stand right against that wall. Okay, and I want your feet to go all the way back, right about there. Still going to be a little bit of stress placed on him. I'm going to get those recordings. I'm going to go ahead and annotate them on my table. Then after these 2 minutes, okay, I would go ahead and I'll reset my timer. I rest for those. Sorry, we go for about 2 more minutes on this wall. Right after he's done, okay, or as he's about to finish, again, I get my tools and I take my third and final reading after the 2 minutes standing wall. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and record that last reading, put it on my table, put it on my data, and then go ahead and start interpreting. So I hope that you guys, find this as interesting as I did, and you guys can see the anomalies and the trends within those readings and how they definitely differ from that other stressed exam that we performed earlier. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate your time.